So you haven't recorded anything so far?
It took it off now.
Okay.
So just go ahead and kind of just give me some of the most important things to know about stress and some of the stress factors.
So again, let me start by saying acute stress can be not necessarily a bad thing. So acute stress uh, can increase our motivation to do things, like somebody acutely stressed over an exam, not too much, but moderately stressed, and that can increase motivation to do things. Chronic stress, on the other hand, usually cause negative effects on the brain and on the health in general. So the best known is and studied is an area of the brain called the pituitary and hypothalamus, and that affects these secrete hormones, stress hormones like cortisol, that circulate throughout the body and can affect physical health, but also affect the brain in a negative way. For example, it can cause areas of the brain to shrink, and it can increase susceptibility to some diseases. Of course, it doesn't cause, but it does increase the susceptibility, decrease the resilience to some extent if it's chronic negative stress, and it does even affect the immune system. Um, and the funny thing about stress too, it's the meaning of the stress is important. So different kinds of stress can affect different individuals differently because it might not be perceived with the same meaning. Other factors that play into that and is important is social support, um, spiritual support, meaning in life. All that have an effect. So which can increase or decrease the stress. So, for example, somebody who's stressed or two people stressed at the same level, but have more social support, that can be more helpful. And in a form of that, sometimes we do psychotherapies that can affect. But I'm talking about in general for anybody in the population, that social support can be very helpful. Um, there is other kinds of things that can decrease the stress. It's just our perception about the stress. How do we frame it? How do we do things to mitigate stress? Exercise sometimes can be very good for stress. Meditation, yoga, all that. Just having time away of the stressful situation, or taking a break, or a vacation or something like that. Of course, obviously, can help decompress and decrease stress, and which can have positive effect on the brain, on health in general.
And I guess for those who don't have the, I guess, ability to kind of take, a break or a vacation from work, what's something else that they could consider doing, like maybe reading a book
Yeah.
or.
So again, that varies from person to person. So some, doing your hobbies can be very helpful. So if you like reading, that would be great. Reading a book. Um, Again, meditation, that can be only a few minutes a day. That can be helpful. Exercise can de-stress and build resilience, not only psychological, I mean physical, but also psychological. So this is all things that can be of help. It can be a little different from one person to the others. There's some things that's universal, but somebody might enjoy just to walk or hike in the nature. That can be very helpful, or being near water.
Do you want to ask him, honey, some examples of chronic stress that we all experience? Is that
Yeah.
something? Because you talked about it, but you didn't really give any examples.
Mhm.
Is that helpful to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So examples of chronic stress you're asking. So basically, chronic means like it's persistent over time. So things like financial stress, family related, relation related stress. That's some of the most common stressors that people affected. Things related to academic achievements. It's just the normal stress of daily life. And again, um, it varies from a person to person depending on their coping skills, depending on the meaning of stress to them. Some person might not, you know, put too much stress on academic achievements than the other. Somebody that's very, you know, uh, trying to achieve in that area might be more stressed than the other. So all this can create a lot of negative stress, which is affect again the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis that we talked about before, call it HP axis, and and it can affect different systems of the body. There's even new studies in the book I'm writing about how it affects changes even the structure of the chemical bonds to the genes, which we call epigenetics, which can turn genes on and off, and that can affect multiple things in the body, organs, diseases, physical and psychological.